everybody. It's Allie, and welcome to our Y&R Chat for Sunday, July 11th, 2021. This week, Y&R said, let's give our viewers what we know they want: sexiness and skin. COVID is in the rear view mirror, baby. We are putting the passion back into our soaps. We had shirtless dudes, sexy ladies wrapped in bed sheets. We had real kissing and real touching in the lovemaking scenes. Plus, we had a cocktail party complete with formal attire. Yes! Finally, we are getting back to basics, the bread and butter of daytime intimacy. Intimacy at last. And who needs it more than Genoa City's very own Ice Queen, Victoria Newman? Oh, Ashland sweeps Victoria up off of her feet, literally picks her up off the floor, kisses her, carries her to the bed, and makes perfect, passionate love to her. And it must have been good, too, because Victoria looked pretty darn satisfied afterwards. She had her tossed hair wrapped up in that bed sheet while shirtless Ashland stood over her looking like he was ready to hop up and run a marathon, by the way. He looks pretty darn good for a man who is dying, that's for sure. Now, I asked you guys last week if you thought that Ashland is really dying, and I didn't expect it to be as much of a slam dunk as it was. 86% of you say, no, he's not dying, he's fine. 14% of you say that, yes, you think he's actually ill, but honestly, 86% is a really strong majority of the fans who have spoken. The consensus apparently is Ashland Locke is fine. And most people seem to think that the thing about him dying is a lie, and it is just all part of his grand plan. I happen to agree with the majority. I think Ashland is faking it. I think he knows what he's doing, and that means that Ashland is playing Victoria like a round of golf. Hole in one, Ashland. Hole in one. Victoria is going to be crushed. I wish I wasn't fully convinced that Ashland is lying, because I could really get into digging into the emotional turmoil that Victoria is facing, getting involved with a man who she knows is dying, and having that thrill of getting to know someone new, the thrill of falling for someone, coupled with the grief of knowing that they're going to die and you're going to lose them. Like, that is so meaty. And actually, Adam touched on that a little bit in his conversation with Victoria this week, asking if Victoria is really prepared for what she's getting into. And Billy has said essentially the same thing a couple of times too, but I think it's all a ruse. I mean, the red flag for Victoria in all of this maybe should have been the fact that Ashland is refusing to seek treatment. It doesn't seem consistent with his character. He's a fighter, and yet he doesn't want to fight. And I understand that Victoria wants to respect Ashland's wishes and how much or how little he does or does not want to talk about his disease, but the fact that he's told her he doesn't even want to talk about his illness creates this narrative where Victoria's not allowed to ask questions, and that's what has made her vulnerable. She's trying to be overly sensitive to him, and it's made her vulnerable. Everyone else in the situation are the ones who are asking the questions. Word of Locke's health crisis has hit the street, and the vultures are circling, wanting to gobble up his company. Everyone is trying to pick the bones of Locke Communications. It's Newman Enterprises, Newman Media, Chancecom, and everybody is questioning Victoria about it. They're asking her about her new boyfriend's health. Victor, Adam, Billy, even Abby was asking Victoria about it this week. And Victoria just stonewalls them all. She thinks she's on the inside when actually she might be the only one who's on the outside. Billy sauntered into Ashland's suite this week and made him an offer to buy Locke Communications. It was an offer that would undercut Victoria. Apparently it was a very large number. Apparently it was a lot of money that was offered. The old writing the number on a piece of paper trick. It never gets old. Except when it's done twice in the same episode. I was for it when Billy wrote down the number and gave it to Locke, but why did he need to write down the number on a piece of paper and hand it to Lily to tell her how much he had offered to pay? I don't know. But it gave us the great moment where Lily looked at the piece of paper and had that shocked look on her face. But I don't think that Locke is going to take it. It doesn't appear that way, especially from the previews for next week. If all Locke wanted was money and to sell off his company, and if Billy's offer was more than Victoria's, then Locke would just backstab Victoria again and go with Billy's offer. I think what we have here is Ashland's choice. What does he want more? This deal? Or does he have his eye on a larger picture? Does he want Victoria too? I do think he wants both. I think Ashland Locke wants Victoria and he wants the deal, and I think he's going to get both. Either way, he slices it, he's going to win. In the previews for next week, Victoria and Ashland are telling Billy that they have an announcement to make that is both business and personal. I think Ashland proposed to Victoria. I think he asked her to marry him. I think that Victoria has agreed to a deathbed wedding to Ashland Locke under the guise that she will be the one to keep an eye on Harrison after he is gone and preserve his legacy and make sure that everything he's worked for his whole life is passed on and continued. And then, as her husband, he is going to have wormed his way into Newman Enterprises after it's revealed that he's going to live after all. He has wormed his way into her bed. He has wormed his way into her whole life, too. Till death do us part, or not. Did you see Victor trying to wiggle his way out of taking Nikki on their Italian vacation? He bought her those birthday Leslie Brooks concert tickets and then tried to back out on the trip? No. Nikki said, no, no, no. You are not going to strand me on another vacation. We are retired. That means we are retired from the drama. You are required now to make good on these vacations you have gifted me. Nikki don't care what's going on with Adam or Chelsea or Connor or anyone else. She wants to go shopping in Italy. Who could blame her? Oh, well, it's official. Adam is leaving the penthouse to Chelsea, and Adam and Connor are moving out to the ranch to ride horses and roam the many acres all summer long. Hey, Connor's back on screen, not just in a video call. Is this the same Connor? I've been dying to ask you guys this question all week because I keep looking at Connor thinking, is this the same kid or a different kid? Maybe it's just been so long since we've seen him, and maybe he did a whole lot of growing up since the last time we've seen him, but he looks different to me. Did they recast Connor? I can't tell. Oh... I am sure that Sharon will be able to whip up one of her famous lemon cakes to host a welcome to the ranch party for Adam and Connor. Who knows? Maybe she can even stop by the tack house to borrow a cup of sugar and a kiss to make it sweeter. And then Adam and Sharon can just raise their kids together. Faith and Connor, side by side, riding horses at the ranch. I tell you, I thought it was a real full circle moment on Faith's character when she offered Connor a brownie at Crimson Lights in order to usher him out of a scene. Wow! Faith is all grown up now. It's got to be somebody's job to get the kid out of the scene so that the two adults can be alone together. And that's what it was for Sharon and Adam. So congratulations, Faith, you've graduated. And congratulations, Sharon and Adam, your little happy family is complete. Except, oh, wait a minute. I forgot about Ray. One problem, Ray is in the way. Yes, Sharon and Ray are back from their second honeymoon. They are madly in love, and apparently Ray doesn't even mind that Adam is going to be living next door. Now, are you telling me that the writers didn't even bother to write the scene where Sharon told Ray that Adam is going to be living next door? That doesn't make any sense. Sharon alluded to the fact that Ray was fine with it, and we didn't even get to see it. Like, after everything that we have been through, we didn't even get to see the look on Ray's face when he finds out that Adam is going to be nude sunbathing on the front porch next door? Are you kidding me? Well, Chelsea was not too pleased about this move. Chelsea decides she needs some drastic action here. She needs Chloe to help her enact yet another plan. So Chloe leaves Chelsea with her cell phone, and Chelsea decides to record a conversation with her doctor, which is one of the things that we are always screaming at these people to do. We're always saying, just record the conversation, Summer. That would solve everything. Just record the conversation. But Chelsea's the one who actually did it. The doctor pretty much admits out loud that he is on Victor's payroll and that they're keeping her there. Chelsea sends the recording over to Chloe for some safe cloud storage and tells the doctor that he better go against Victor's wishes and help her get released right now. Well, that sends the doctor out to the ranch where Adam is kicking it at the main house. The doctor walks through the door, starting to babble away about Chelsea without checking to see who might be pouring a glass of rare scotch at the bar. And suddenly, Victor realizes that, oops, now he can't keep this secret from Adam any longer. So, Victor tells Adam the whole truth. I'm glad that it didn't destroy this togetherness thing, this partnership thing, this father-son vibe that they've got going on. That trust is really important to me. And Victor did point out to Adam that when Victor made this move, Adam was on the run. Adam was wanted for Chelsea's crime at the time, and that Victor only wanted to clear Adam's name. So Adam very quickly forgave Victor for that. He seemed okay with it. But Adam doesn't want Chelsea to have to be stuck in this institution now against her will. Like that time that he had her held in the warehouse with the dirty cot and the drugged water. No, we gotta get Chelsea out of this beige reality of the mental institution. I mean, that is an emergency in and of itself. Adam probably had a private conversation with Victor to tell him it's too beige in there. We gotta break her out. We gotta give in to her demands. But both Adam and Victor know that Chelsea really can't follow through with her demands. She doesn't really have the leverage that she thinks she has. If she releases that recording, it's going to incriminate herself too. So it forces everyone into a position where they kind of have to work together. So Victor and Adam decide to go to Chelsea. Adam arranges for Chelsea to have a change of clothes. Hallelujah, green and beige instead of just beige. That was a refreshing change for summer. And Adam also arranges for Chelsea to take a little field trip to Chancellor Park. Side note, see, this is one of the reasons why I love Genoa City. Chancellor Park is clearly very upscale. I mean, it is so well kept that you could sit on one of those stone benches in your white jumpsuit and not even worry about getting anything dirty. I mean, Chancellor Park is the richest of the richies who are frolicking there. But occasionally you might see a mental patient stroll on through. See, this is why I love Genoa City. You just never know what you're gonna get. I mean, a mental patient standing right in the middle of Chancellor Park. Well, what if Harrison and his fox had been having a picnic right there that day, while the criminally insane Chelsea walks right through the scene, right straight out of the mental ward? I think we all know that there is only one question here. How would Tara feel about that? Oh, who am I kidding? Chelsea is no danger to children. She's got a child of her own. And did you see the smile on her face when she was reunited with Connor? I mean, I'm so happy that Adam was able to arrange that. And there was a hug and everything. I mean, another sign that we have banished COVID from our screens. That's very welcome. I was very glad to see it. And I was very glad to see that Chelsea seemed to understand and agree that now it's time to work with Adam and Victor. Stop working against them. Work together to get her out of the mental institution. But the question is Chelsea really working with Adam and Victor, even though she's agreed to in exchange for getting what she wants? Or is she pulling some new form of a con? Because out of the blue, Adam gets a phone call from Anita. She's broken a hip. Oh, my hip! Ah, darn these high heels. Oh. Now suddenly Chelsea needs to leave town. She has to help her mother, her infirmed mother. Poor Anita. And of course Chelsea also needs to take Connor with her. Oh, please tell me that Adam is not actually considering letting that happen. I'm sure Chelsea's a perfectly good mother, but she is fresh out of the mental institution. I'm thinking she might need to have at least a few months to get it back together. Oh, after the murderiness and all, after the murdery and the framey, all the business, I think Chelsea might need a moment. Focus on being a mom again before, really jumping into that fire. Besides, Connor is assimilating beautifully at the ranch. And Adam is building his new family with Sharon. Chelsea can just visit Connor whenever she wants. She can, she can help Anita in another time, and in another time in another town, and then Melissa Claire Egan can come back to Genema City after she's finished with her maternity leave. Is that it? I think that might be it. This sounds like it's the Melissa Claire Egan maternity leave temporary exit story. I'm all for it. Banish the beige, whatever it takes. I gotta be honest with you. I have been tired of Chelsea for the majority of the time that she's been locked up. I kind of wish that they would have quietly sent her off screen a while ago instead of just keeping her there. I mean, everything in the mental institution did nothing for me. At the very least, I was hoping I was going to get to see Chelsea and Ray bonding or connecting. That seemed like it could have been a really good direction, but it was a big, flat, boring for me. I think instead of seeing all of the Chelsea mental institution scenes, I really would have rather just seen the heat shift over to Chloe. I mean, Chloe's had no repercussions for her involvement in all of this. And true, she didn't know what she was doing, but she did make a mistake and she should be culpable for that. I mean, we saw Michael turning up the heat on Chloe, pretty much implying to both Kevin and Chloe that he knows Chloe was Chelsea's accomplice. He says he's not going to pursue it, which I don't know if that's true or not, but he also vaguely warns Chloe to not keep helping Chelsea. Basically what Michael said was, I kind of know you did it, don't keep doing it. Whatever you do, just make sure you're out of it now, which is darn good advice. I mean, blindly helping Chelsea landed Chloe into some really hot water, and she still hasn't learned her lesson. She was still letting Chelsea have her phone. I mean, I kind of want to see Michael pursue Chloe. At least to let her crack. At least to get some good scenes out of it. I mean, I guess I'm feeling kind of nostalgic right now for the days when Michael was kind of running around, cleaning up after his family's naughty messes. I wouldn't really even mind seeing Michael arrest Chloe or, I don't know, I mean, just find some evidence on Chloe and choose to cover it up. Anything to get Michael back on screen with a story of his own. When is Stitch going to leave town already? He had to stop by Society to have one more long goodbye with Abby. And then when Adam showed up, he quickly scurried out of there, said he had a plane to catch. But then next thing you know, he shows up at Chancellor Park, runs into Mariah, and starts to mansplain pregnancy to her. Oh no! Now Mariah is missing. Where did she go? Nowhere. That's where Mariah went. Nowhere. Did Stitch kidnap Mariah? No, he didn't. And I'll tell you why. Because this story and everything in it is all about buying time until Mariah gives birth in the fall. Stitch didn't kidnap Mariah. We couldn't get that lucky. Because Stitch kidnapping Mariah would be something. It might be a little bit exciting, and that's why I know that it didn't happen. Next week, Mariah will probably pop up on screen with some quirky story about how she dropped her phone in the toilet. Nina and Tracy in the very same episode. I said to myself, am I in heaven right now? I was starting to suspect that maybe Nina and Tracy were actually the same person because they were suspiciously never on screen on the same day. I was thinking maybe they just had a double identity. Nacy. Or Trina. But no. Tracy and Ashley flew all the way to Genoa City this week to meet Jack's grandson. Did Jack mention that he has a grandson? Oh, meet my grandson. This is my grandson. It's my grandson. Isn't he wonderful? Yes, Jack, we know Harrison is your grandson, and we know how much you love him, and that's what's going to make it all the more sad when we find out that he's not actually your grandson. Oh, but the Abbotts meeting Harrison is not as important as the fact that the Abbotts got to meet Tara. It was, let's see, Tracy, Ashley, Billy, not Abby, all gathered round the Abbott living room. You know, see, it's like Abby only exists in her own little world, in her own little selfish bubble. Why would Abby not be there? Seems like that would have been an easy choice to incorporate her into someone else's life, into someone else's problems. But no. It was just the Abbott siblings. They were all gathered round to listen to Tara's very best "I'm a harmless damsel" routine. But Billy for sure wasn't buying it. Tara was laying it on so thick. She was complimenting Tracy's book, saying how wonderful it is that now Harrison has this legacy of the Abbott family. And she would just seem like she was trying so hard to get them to like her. And that's what raised Billy's red flags. I kind of got the impression that Tracy and Ashley had an eyebrow raised at Tara also. Because, I mean, look, Tara isn't the first interloper that the Abbotts have had to deal with. So I got the feeling that maybe it wasn't a slam dunk. But Billy for sure is officially on the case. He made a promise to Summer before she left town that he was going to keep an eye on Kyle, and that includes keeping an eye on the woman who came between them. Even though Billy doesn't know that, it doesn't take a genius to figure out at least part of what happened there. So, while all that's going on in Genoa City, wow, we went to Milan. That was shocking. Summer had her final goodbye with Nick, and I was not even expecting to ever have seen Summer again. I was expecting her to have already been gone. Although, in retrospect, last week, I thought it was kind of strange that Y&R had Summer say goodbye to everyone in Genoa City, but then they sent Nick off with her as her escort, and now I realize that it was all so that we could have Phyllis and Nick getting some sexy time in Milan. Yes! After Nick says goodbye to Summer, yada yada, see you Summer, Phyllis shows up at his hotel room door for some sexy time, and I approve. Oh my goodness. Phyllis and Nick finally got their post-COVID love-making scene this week. Yes! Like, it's been so long, and I've been craving a really good, strong love scene for those two. Like, all feels right with the world again now that I've gotten it. It was a good scene, too. It was funny, and it was sexy, which I think is the perfect combination. That's exactly how I would describe Nick and Phyllis and their relationship. Funny and sexy, and that is everything that I have come to adore about this couple. But was this the final time that we'll be seeing Summer? Y&R hasn't officially commented on Hunter King's status with the show, but it seems widely accepted now that both she and Michael Mealor are going to be leaving. They did an interview in Soap Opera Digest and said that their contract negotiations stalled, and so I guess Y&R chose to let them go, which means that inevitably one or more of Tara's lies will have to be busted soon, and Kyle will just follow Summer to Milan. Man, what a bummer. I would imagine that Y&R did everything that they could to keep them around. I mean, Summer and Kyle were a really huge power couple on the show. I mean, they represented a really important demographic to the show, and they got a lot of screen time. A lot was put into their characters. They were on practically every day, and now that's a lot of time and a lot of story that's going to have to be filled. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, though. At the same time, it's like the show is bigger than any one character or any two characters or any couple. So I can understand if both parties can't come to an agreement, that's just what you get. Maybe we have seen the rise of Tara and Ashland coming to prominence, getting way more screen time, and maybe Y&R had the intention all along of replacing Summer and Kyle with Ashland and Tara if they had to. I am rooting for Billy and Phyllis to work separate angles to bust Tara. But Phyllis's desperate attempts to keep Jack away from Sally, that's all just, well, desperate. And it doesn't look good. Phyllis whining and begging Jack to have dinner with her, saying that she's lonely. It's all just really emotionally manipulative and just frankly pathetic. Phyllis just comes off as pathetic. Phyllis can choose to not like Sally all day and all night long, but Jack can make his own decisions about who he wants to have coffee with. If Sally ends up breaking Jack's heart, which we know she will when the truth comes out about her and Tara's plot, I mean, that heartbreak is going to be on him. That's his business. If he chooses to give Sally the second chance and gets burned, you gotta let him have the ownership over that decision. But it's still fun to watch. And it's fun to chat about. I mean, I really liked seeing Sharon and Phyllis in that coffee house scene together, because Phyllis was doing her thing to try to keep Jack away from Sally at all costs, and Sharon was just standing in the background, quietly taking it all in. And then when Sharon and Phyllis came together, Sharon told Phyllis, don't go there. Little advice, don't go there. I'm not questioning your motives, but I am questioning your method. It seems a little bit familiar, shall we say. I gotta admit, Amanda's family murder mystery is losing some steam for me. The second that I heard that Naya had confessed to the crime but didn't want to talk to Amanda about it, I thought to myself, ugh, no, yuck, they're just going to stretch this out for weeks and weeks longer. Now we have a new person to focus on. Like, I just am kind of ready to know who killed Amanda's father. I just want to know what the story is behind it. And then I want to move on to something else for this family. I love the family. I love everything about the characters and the family dynamics within it, but I'm ready to move forward on the dang plot. I would like to ask you guys, though, in a poll question this week, just so we can get it on record, because I'm surprised we haven't done it yet. Who killed Amanda's father? That's our poll question for this week at yrchat.com. Is it Sutton? Is it Naya? Is it Amani? Is it someone else? Is it no one else? Is Richard still alive? I feel like we've been on this journey for so long. I don't have a really good clue. I mean, all we've got are our theories, so I thought I'd slap a poll down on it this week and see where the majority of the theory lies. And who knows, maybe a couple weeks from now we'll get a clue. I I love the character stuff, but I'm also trying to follow a plot, and the plot feels a little weak for me. The saving grace of the whole story for me has been the amazing acting, the great character development. I mean, Amanda has really come to life through all of this. This has been her story, her journey of trying to find out the truth about her father's death. I just want to know what the answer is and then see where the chips lie afterwards. That actress who plays Naya, I'm enthralled with. She is fantastic. She plays boiling hot 1 minute and then freezing cold the very next minute. I mean, last week, Naya was not letting Amanda into the jail to see her. And then this week, she is grateful that Amanda has agreed to represent her and take her case, which, by the way, is exactly what Sutton asked Amanda to do last week, and she told him to go to hell. So I don't know what changed. It feels right back to square one, only instead of Sutton being the main suspect, now it's Naya. Just somebody tell me who did it. I hope we're getting there. The other thing is, Naya told Amanda that as a condition of letting her represent her, then Amanda has to do it the way that Naya and Sutton say so. So yeah, right back to square one. Instead of Amanda having her hands tied by Sutton, now she's having her hands tied by Naya. And I am not having it anymore. Amanda did have that sinister look in her eye, though, which I did appreciate. Amanda did tell Imani that she plans to clear Naya's name and take Sutton down while she's doing it. Okay, good. And Imani agrees, which is also good. Maybe Imani is on Amanda's side. But see, they're pretty hot and cold, too. 2 weeks ago, Imani stood in the lobby of the Grand Phoenix Hotel and had that big blow up at Devon over the fact that Amanda kind of stepped away with her and didn't want to be best friends. And now this week, Imani is attending Devon's cocktail party. Like, it just get whiplash from week to week. I don't know where anyone stands. Are Imani and Amanda actually sister friends now? Is Amanda just trying to keep her close, to keep an eye on her? I don't know. I still love Imani, though. I mean, again, it's like the plot is really weak, but where it's getting us is really good because it got It got Imani's foot through the door into Devon's penthouse where Nate just so happened to be with his old new lady love. I know I make a lot of jokes about Nate, but honest to God, he makes my heart beat faster. When Devon opened up the penthouse door and Nate was standing there holding that bottle of wine, all I could think was how much I would love to open up my front door and see that fine man all suited up, ready to spend an evening with me. And then the scene kept going on, and I realized that my heart was racing. I sort of drifted away into imagining then that Nate and I were on a date, and as soon as I came out of it, I actually realized that my heart was beating faster. That is what he legitimately does to me. I don't even know if I've ever had this big of a crush on a Y&R character. Even Kane. And you know it took me a long time to get over the loss of Kane, and little did I know that something else was around the corner. Oh my gosh, that cocktail party was wonderful. The Winters family cocktail party was everything. Everybody was all dressed up. Nate was looking all crisp and tasty. Devon was looking all smooth and buttery. Amanda was matching him wearing that all-white Greek goddess elegant dress. Imani had on that fire red dress with those flaming red lips and those fireworks looking earrings, and then Elena in her light baby blue dress with the kind of crinkle fabric that matched her crinkle hair. that scene was the best scene of the week. I loved Devon playing some jazz music from his label. It was giving me the winter's mood. That whole scene put me in the winter's mood. It really reminded me of the days of Neil and Malcolm and Drew and Liv just kicking it as a family. I mean, those scenes were so significant, not even just because for the nostalgia factor, but for the current place that the show is in. All of the current family dynamics were present. And honestly, it was present, past, and future that the dynamics were represented. Amanda had her reservations about having all of these people over. She was revealing that Imani was her sister. Devon and Elena had their former connection exposed. Nate seemed kind of uncomfortable about it all, and Imani was just casting eyes on Nate all night. I mean, the only dynamic that didn't present as particularly strong to me was Nate and Elena. I don't know if anybody else felt that way either, but I wouldn't even know that they were a couple. I don't know if they were trying to play it cool because of everything that happened with Devon, but if I were Elena, I think I would have been all over Nate to establish that he was my man, especially since she clearly noticed that Imani was giving him the looks. Elena even said, "How long are you going to be in town for?" So Elena was cued in to the fact that Imani had eyes on Nate, and yet she didn't do anything to touch him or really even be near him. I don't think they were even sitting next to each other. Why is that? Maybe Elena's just trying to play it cool around Devon because so much happened between them. I'm not sure, but it was all there. I loved Imani as the window into that Winters family. She was the window into that world. I love how socially awkward Imani was as she was trying to figure out all of those dynamics. I will call it socially awkward. She called it direct. Some people might say that I am direct. Okay, Imani. Tomato, tomato, Imani. Moses was really spooked by Nate's health scare. I know what you mean, Moses. I was scared too. I don't want to lose Nate. Moses took it to the extreme, though. Moses is thinking that he might not be cut out for a medical career after all that. He's thinking that maybe he was only pursuing the medical field to make everybody else happy, and that maybe that's not really what he wants for his life. I respected him having that realization. I've always thought that 18 is a little young to have to make major career decisions that require a major financial investment. I mean, how much does medical school cost? I don't know. I'm like, get a job. Just get a job, try a bunch of things, figure out what it is you really want to do later in life. That's what I'm going to tell my daughter. But then again, I mean, I guess if you have a drive and a passion from a very young age, but it sounds like Moses was realizing that that's just not the case for him. You don't have to know what you want to do when you're that young. Don't waste a bunch of money on fancy college if you might just be happy at a junior college, meeting some new people, hitting the beer bong, getting your first apartment without having $250,000 in debt hanging over your head. Oh. But Moses is worried that if he's not going to go to medical school, then Olivia is going to make him come home, make him leave Genoa City, since shadowing Nate is the main reason that he's in Genoa City in the first place. So I don't know. Don't worry about that, Moses. Olivia hasn't been seen in years. And what you can learn from Nate will last you a lifetime. There really is no need for a sophisticated college education when you can go to the School of Love with Dr. Nate. I just have to say this. The actress who played Amanda's investigator Thelma Hopkins. When she was on the show a few weeks ago, I really didn't have much reason to give her a whole lot of attention. I knew that she had been on Family Matters with Brighton, but I didn't remember her specifically, so that wasn't a connection that really resonated with me. But recently, I watched this Netflix series called Dead to Me, and she had a small role in it, and I just wanted to make sure to say that she was excellent, and she's a really excellent singer too, so that was kind of cool. And another series that I watched a couple of weeks ago, which was a CBS original, it was season 1 of Why Women Kill, which was fantastic, but it featured Alicia Coppola. She played Dr. Meredith Baxter. She was Victor's doctor a few years ago. And man, she was way more interesting on this CBS series, Why Women Kill, than she ever was on Y&R. And then I went to look her up and found out that she was also the co-host of this really early MTV game show called Remote Control. It was also hosted by Colin Quinn. I don't know, it's just so interesting. I'm an 80s kid, so it was like, oh yeah, that's a fun reference. But the more I look around and the more I have time to actually explore other television series outside of Y&R, I realize that Y&R stars are on my screen everywhere. You really don't have to look very far before you find someone who is a Y&R alum. So I wanted to say, if you guys have seen any Y&R alums recently, please feel free to leave me a comment. Let me know who you've seen. It's just always interesting to see our stars and our former stars wearing different hats. Harmless is boring. Well, I happen to agree. And Miss Sally Spectra is anything but boring. That was our quote from last week. Harmless is boring. The answer was Sally. Quite a few winners this week, so congratulations, Sandra, Henry, Daisy, Jamie, who actually got the quote right last week, and I forgot to read it. I had Jamie's name up at the website, but then when I went to read the list, for some reason, I omitted it. So I'm sorry, Jamie. You're on a pretty good streak of getting these guys right, so I want you to get your props. Also, Diana, Victoria, Southside Granny, Y&R Viewer 123, Good Old Marky, TB84, Sharita, Louise IPO, Sue W, and Kamna. You guys all guessed that it was Sally. Here's a nice one. Can we stop with all the explosions? I don't know, I kind of want more explosions. You tell me who said it. Can we stop with all the explosions? Go to yrchat.com, leave your guess, and if you get it right, then I will give you your explosive shout out during next week's Y&R Chat. And as always, I have some explosive comments from you guys, starting with Sue W, who says, thinking back on past events, the Jack Sally thing is just not working for me. Wouldn't the wise, world-weary Jack Abbott, especially at this stage in his life, be impervious to the charms of the coquettish and pretentiously self-involved millennial? Come on! Jack gazes at this girl as though helplessly smitten with wonder, like I would expect to see Connor gazing at the bubbliest girl in the school cafeteria. What is so intriguing to a successful man about town in having a flirty girl bat her sexy eyes and pretend to eat humble pie? This relationship they had curtailed was simply a flirtation that Sally had decided was headed into love. Jack, don't be so desperate. But, oh, it would be delicious if they do get involved and Sally's duplicity in causing Summer to leave town is revealed. I would also relish a triangle between Jack, Sally, and Tara. If Michael Mealor is actually off the show, then Tara and Sally could eventually lock horns, either over Jack and or JCV, and eventually sabotage each other when they finally cop to their Summer/Milan scheme. Yes, Sue W., I think absolutely. If Tara goes down within the next couple of weeks, especially if Michael Milor's leaving the show, then Sally's going down with her. They were partners in crime on this. In a lot of ways, this really speaks to the fact that maybe Tara really is kind of the Summer replacement. I think we're keeping Sally, but I think Tara's going to step into a lead role in the way that Summer had that lead role on the show. But you make an interesting point that a Jack, Sally, Tara triangle would be interesting. We kicked around the Tara, Jack potential romance angle quite a bit, but then it just really seemed like she had bigger eyes for Kyle. But now, oh my goodness, the groundwork is all there. If Kyle goes away, who knows, maybe Y&R will find a way to not expose Tara and still send Kyle off the canvas. I don't know how that would be, but anybody can be forgiven, anybody can be redeemed, so I absolutely could see a Tara, Jack, Sally triangle happening sometime in the future. I also like your point that, yeah, it's like Sally and Tara could go head to head at JCV too. So there's a couple different ways that this could work. But to your larger point about Jack, what does he see in Sally? I think in some ways Jack is flattered at what Sally sees in him. But I do appreciate your point that it was Sally deciding that it was love. Sally asserting her love. Jack, in a lot of ways, did kind of seem almost to just go along with it. But he did admit that there was more going on there. But he certainly never said the L word. T. Nicole says, yay, Summer was back on. I thought we were done seeing her. This gives me hope that we will see a Kyle and Summer reunion on screen. I still think that's a possibility, T. Nicole. It's possible that they could bring the two actors back on a not contract basis. We could certainly see their reunion on screen. I just don't know that it would be long term. Once again, though, you just never know. Why? We don't know how Y&R works their contracts. They never comment on their contracts. There's no reason that they couldn't bring Kyle or Summer back for a day, and they're just not long-term players. So I don't think this is the last that we're going to see of Summer or Kyle. Leslie says, I hope the Abbott women bust Tara. And Jamie says maybe the dynamic duo of Tracy and Ashley will bust Tara. That would be sweet. Yeah, I thought that Ashley and Tracy both seemed like, this girl, all right. I mean, they're not unwise ladies. I think Tracy and Ashley have been around the block. They have seen a schemer or two in their day. And I wouldn't be surprised if they caught a little whiff of something stinky when it came from Tara's direction. Diana says, we finally got a clue about who Tara's brother is, as the many chatters have been speculating who he could be. Tara has now given us his name, Shane. Therefore, I think Tara's brother will not be a previous character that we've seen on the show before, and I look forward to seeing Tara's brother and finding out the reason Tara and her brother are estranged. That has been quite a dangling carrot, hasn't it? This brother, I want to know. Y&R's pretty good at dangling those carrots for a long time, though, these days. I feel like I'm happy with the writing, but it's lagging, it's sagging a little bit. I want to get to some points. I love the character development, I do, but I do want to get to our plot points too. I want to move things along. I want to know about the brother too. Question is, will we? And if we do, will it be sooner or later? T. Nicole says, I wonder if Harrison is not Kyle or Ashland's son, but someone else's altogether. Tara could have switched the paternity results when Kyle took them, but wouldn't have to worry when Ashland did his own paternity results, knowing that Harrison wasn't his either. Yeah, it's absolutely possible. That is a very good point, that both paternity tests could have very well come up as not a match, because who knows, it could be our brother's kid for all we know. But you do mention Ashland's paternity test result. We never got the follow-up on that. He never said another thing about it. It is possible that Ashland got his own paternity test result, realized that Harrison was his or something, and he is working a plan against Tara and not necessarily Victoria. We just don't know, but let's not forget that Ashland had the second paternity test, and he has not revealed the results. So let's remember that that's got to come back into play. And the other thing is, the paternity, if Michael Mealor's leaving the show, then the paternity test result had to have been faked. I mean, there's no way that Kyle would leave Genoa City and leave Harrison behind. Kyle loves Harrison. And the other thing is, I don't think that Kyle would take Harrison to Milan, knowing how much Jack loves having this grandson and how beneficial it's been having Harrison in the Abbott home. So I feel like if Michael Mealor's leaving the show, the only reason that he would make that choice would be if he found out that Harrison wasn't his son. But time will tell on that. Oh, goodness, is Ashland Locke really dying? The poll results that were a slam dunk. 86% say no, he is not really dying. Sue W. says the Loch Ness Monster has yet to surface. And fake dying, prefaced by a fake heart attack as well, is just another part of his ruthless plot. It's the kind that earned Ashland that title. It's hard to know who's playing whom between Ashland and Victoria, but despite all of their machinations, they may come to find that they are truly falling for one another. I think so too. I think there's lies and schemes, and somehow, out of that rocky ground, the little blossom of a relationship will start to grow. Actual love story will start to grow. But on the topic of whether or not Ashland is faking, Mark says, come on, Richard Berge is on contract. Too much time and energy has been spent on Ashland to kill him off so soon. But like I've said before, Adam is involved. Tara is also in cahoots, and Victoria is going down. Oh, but Mark, you're not buying Adam's change of heart? He had that scene with Victoria this week where he seemed very tender. He actually seemed to want to ask her questions that were legitimate. But you think that Adam is involved into Ashland's plot. That's interesting. And you think that Tara is kind of in on it all from the other end, too. Yeah, I don't think that they're going to kill Ashland off, especially we do know that he has a 1-year-long contract. But I will remind you, Chance had a 3-year contract. And they said bye. For one reason or another, they said bye. So it's also not outside of the realm of possibilities that Y&R could go for a fall sweeps shocker and kill him. Victoria says every time Ashland calls Victoria a master negotiator, he's making fun of how easily she is manipulated. Ooh, and that's what twists the knife, isn't it? Ugh. TB84 says, at first I was feeling sorry for Ashland after all of the stuff with Tara cheating on him and Harrison not being his child and the heart attack just to find out that he has 6 months left to live. I mean, so many bad things happened to him. But now I'm starting to doubt that he really is dying. I can't help the feeling that there's going to be a twist at the end of this storyline, and Ashland gets his. Oh, you think he's not going to get the girl, but he's going to get his comeuppance. That may be. Y&R Viewer says, Ashland is not ill. He could be trying to take over Newman Enterprises by getting close to Victoria. But maybe Victoria's charm is distracting Ashland, which means their relationship could develop and Ashland will agree to treatment and they will live a happy life unless Billy will pry, which is the usual case. That's a possibility too. It's absolutely possible that Ashland is working on a plan, that he's trying to get Newman Enterprises. Maybe he falls in love with Victoria in the process, and then he starts to do a, oh yeah, baby, I'm gonna go get treatment kind of thing, and then fakes his miraculous recovery. Yeah, I mean, I can see that happening. That's gonna be really fascinating to watch, how he will maneuver this miracle treatment. Yeah. Southside Granny says, oh yes, hunky Ashland should be starting to look frail by now. If there is no bed hopping this week, then Ashland and Tara are getting ready to strike for Newman Enterprises. As Brad Carlton called him, the Black Knight will realize what is happening. He and Adam will save Newman Enterprises, and Ashland and Tara will be exposed, and Kyle will leave for Italy to be with Summer. Well, Southside Granny, that plays perfectly on those previews for next week. We saw Victor questioning Nikki. Ooh, she was under some fire from Victor about why she didn't reveal to him that Victoria was working on this merger deal. And Nikki was looking like she was definitely in the hot seat. So it is possible that Victor is going to be fully alerted by next week and on it and realizing that Ashland is up to no good. And maybe he will start to insert himself a little stronger into the situation. I like your prediction that Victor and Adam will save Newman Enterprises. After how cold Victoria was to Adam just this week, saying, you will always be my enemy. There's nothing that you're going to say that's ever going to change my mind. If Adam and Victor then come in and save Newman Enterprises, that would be a really nice plot twist. But you're also honing in on the fact that something is going to happen to send Kyle off to Italy to be with Summer, and I think that's correct if the contract rumors are true. Hey, but speaking about how characters look when they're ill, Victoria says, in Genoa City, you can't judge how ill a character is by how they look. Sharon looked amazing during her cancer treatments. Oh, Victoria, that is true, because Ashland certainly doesn't look like a man who is dying, but every day Sharon showed up for her chemotherapy looking beautiful as ever, never lost a strand of hair. Yup. Glowing day after day, and now those big, beautiful, glowing breasts are just better than ever. Marianne V says, I think Ashland is fine. He is setting up Victoria to get Newman Enterprises to get back at Victor. Victoria thinks she's playing him, but it's Ashland who's playing her. This is an important comment from Mary Ann V, because Ashland's motive here could be beyond, just the merger, just wanting to get control of the company. Ashland's motive here could be getting revenge on Victor. Ashland took Victor's whole move when Ashland was having the heart attack. Ashland took that pretty well. The fact that Victor stood there and was about ready to let him die during his heart attack, and then he just kind of got up, shook it off, and said, ha, all in good fun. Well, let's be business partners at Newman Media together. No. What Ashland's real motive here is to get revenge on Victor for that little move. And now Ashland says, ha, you took advantage of me. Now look what I can do to you. Let's talk about old Stitch. Sharita says, I think Stitch is Ashland's doctor. I feel like he cured Ashley or something before, and I believe in the end, Stitch is going to rope his way into working at the clinic as his cover, and maybe he'll be there for Victoria when Ashland dies. Samuel also says Ashland is definitely faking his condition. In fact, I think Stitch is his doctor. I don't think Stitch is being honest. We saw him peeking out the window of the mansion, and there's definitely something sketchy going on. That's interesting, that maybe Stitch will connect in with Ashland's story instead of Abby and Mariah's. Maybe Stitch is a red herring in the Abby-Mariah story, which is what I feel. That's the thing. I feel like it's so obvious that we saw Stitch looking through the window and the shadowy figure. It's just, I feel like that's what Y&R wants us to believe. Y&R wants us to believe that Stitch has now kidnapped Mariah. They've served it up to us on a silver platter, which is what tells me that's not what the story is. I like your ideas, Sharita and Samuel, that it's all a red herring with Mariah and Abby. He had the relationship with Abby. Maybe he's longing for her, whatever. That can be explained without a plot. But that Stitch's plot is over here with Ashland helping him pull off this fakey fake dying thing. Oh, I like it. Superplex says, it sounds like Stitch kidnapped Mariah just to make sure his baby will be born without the threat of an accidental miscarriage. Yeah, it's possible. It's absolutely possible Stitch kidnapped Mariah. It's possible Stitch switched the sperm. And that he is actually the father of the baby. But I am just so obviously over this storyline. I mean, last week I listened back to Y&R Chat and realized I had blipped out, and I had a moment where I didn't even remember that Devon was the sperm donor. Like, for a minute, I thought that Abby used an anonymous sperm donor, and maybe it could have been Stitch. It's just, the thing is, it's just too much. The storyline has just become too muddy, and the only thing I ever do is complain about it. I'm almost trying to transition to, maybe I'll just talk about it less, because I'm just so annoyed with it, and I just complain about it week after week, and I don't want to be that and have that be the only narrative about it, but I just can't connect in. I mean, I feel like Stitch kidnapping Mariah would be something, and that would be fantastic, but I'm just so used to getting nothing, so I'm expecting nothing. Daisy says, I think Stitch took Mariah. Something likely happened to him. Maybe his son's problems became overwhelming and Stitch had a breakdown. And his fantasy of a life with Abby and their child is his reality. In his damaged mind, he might think that Mariah is carrying his and Abby's child. Stitch's goal may be to lure Abby back into his life using their child to coax her in. So you think that, Daisy, that Stitch only thinks he's the father of the baby. Yeah, there's just so much we don't know. Again, I feel like probably if I had to guess, Y&R is going to have Mariah. I think she was originally supposed to give birth at the end of the year, maybe somewhere around Christmas. So I would guess they're probably going to use this for something like November sweeps, Mariah giving birth to the baby in November, which to me says we've got several months of stretch to go. I really thought that they were going somewhere. As soon as I saw Stitch on screen, I said, oh, okay, we're building to some kind of plot, and maybe we still are. But sort of similar to the Naya storyline, I feel like we had our big summer, a lot of plot stuff happening a couple weeks ago. And I feel like now we're just in this long stretch to fall. I want something to happen. I want more to happen. Not complaining about all the amazing character work and all of the beautiful sets, and there's so many wonderful things going on about Y&R right now, but that plot is dragging for me. Jamie says, okay, Amani, I'm all in with your fabulous self. Busting into Genoa City with a sassy, bitchy vibe that grew into a sisterly bond with Amanda is soapy perfection. All the sass and boldness combined with the budding sisterly love is totally working for me. Better treat Dr. Nate like the catch that he is, Elena. There's a hot new ticket in town, and any hint of a wandering eye or a wishy-washy commitment issues from you, and Imani is going to pounce all over that sexy Dr. Nate. No doubt. Elena, you're right. She better watch it. If she wants to hold on to him, she better watch it. The other thing about Imani, I love Imani. Imani's a good get for me. But I don't know if I trust her. I don't know where she stands exactly. Are her and Amanda actually sister friends now? Is all of the reservations that they had about each other, is that kind of gone now? Is it 100% friendly right now? I mean, I love the sister vibe. I love when they told Nate that they were sisters, and he had this look on her face, and Imani just said, I think we just broke Nate. And then she just casually walked away. It was great. Those were great scenes with these great interpersonal moments. It's just, I feel like I don't know enough about Imani yet to know if she's good or bad, and I think that's maybe another reason why I just want to answer on the Who Killed Amanda's Father storyline. And does Imani know? Does anybody know? Or is he even dead? Somebody just tell me. Sherrod says, I think that Amanda's focus is still off. I don't believe that Sutton killed her father, but Naya does. And because she is too afraid to approach her dad and ask him, Naya will be letting the guilty party get away. I believe it was Naya's husband that either killed Richard, had him killed, or tried to. Still hoping that Richard is alive, though. That's my opinion, of course. That's a good one, too. I mean, yeah, Naya's married. We have never seen her husband. That's either a gap that's waiting to be filled, or that's the answer. Good one. Really good one. Well, let's talk about someone different. How about this little guy? Ellen says, Connor! I'm glad you're headed to the ranch. It'll be a lot more fun than a stuffy penthouse. Maybe you can go riding with your brother Christian. Oops, I forgot. We're all pretending he's your cousin. Well, have a good time anyway. What the heck happened to Christian? Was it Connor who locked Christian in the barn or something? Wasn't there something between those two kids where, like, Connor locked little Christian in the barn and he couldn't get out? Oh gosh, that's terrible and torturous. But I thought that was a funny zing from Ellen. But Ellen also mentions, I thought that Adam would be a lot more angry about Victor's lies and deception about Chelsea. There should have been some shouting. This is a good point, Ellen. You're right. Because I don't want anything to really disturb this awesome bond that Victor and Adam have built, because I think it's a long time coming. I didn't want to destroy the trust between them. But you are right that it begged a little bit more of a reaction out of Adam. He has kind of rolled over when it has come to Victor. He really trusts Victor a lot. And I think he was right too in this instance. Victor was looking out for Adam, but you're right that he should have had more of a reaction. It's kind of similar to us not getting Ray's reaction about Adam moving to the ranch. There's some scenes that should have been written but weren't, or some reactions that should have been given but weren't. Gary says, I don't think that the insane get a get out of madhouse free field trip to Chancellor Park. I really don't. Where did the Nature Girl Forestry shirt come from? No, I'm pretty sure that you don't just get a day pass to go to Chancellor Park when you're in the mental institution. And yeah, the orderly was very, very flexible with Chelsea. She was like, can I just stay 5 more minutes? And he was like, oh, okay. You've been here for 3 days now, but okay, you can have a couple of more minutes. No, it's totally unrealistic, but hey. Victoria says, what a difference a pronoun makes. Adam was using our, us, and we. On the other hand, Chelsea was using I, my, and mine. Then she tops it all off with a Cheshire smile. Of course she's not up to any tricks. Now, I mean, Chelsea's been trying to get out of that mental institution, saying she was going to get out of that mental institution for weeks now. So absolutely the Anita thing was a trick, and Adam called it. He knew it. He said, was this your backup plan in case things didn't work out? And I think that's true. That's the truth. So, yeah. But if Adam then turns around and just gives Connor to her, that's ridiculous. Gary says, so Adam, you're going to let Connor, who wasn't even supposed to get to see his mother, now go off to be with not one con woman, but 2 in another state on an extended vacation where so much plotting and scheming will be going on that you may never ever see any of them again? I know you've already thought of this yourself, but good God, man. Please don't let Adam just hand Connor over to her. I mean, I guess they have to explain the child's absence, but I'd almost rather have the idea that Connor is phantom running around the ranch with Faith and Christian. I almost kind of would rather believe that Connor is on a happy summer vacation at the ranch rather than thinking that Adam would just let Chelsea have Connor right now. I mean, I don't want Adam to keep Connor away from Chelsea. And I liked that a part of the story this week was, well, Connor's getting older. That's not really going to work. Connor's not going to let either of his parents keep him away from the other one. So I like that we've established Connor's independence, but I just don't want to see, I like the idea of Connor at the ranch. Ugh, goodness, Chelsea. Well, Sherrod says, my man Ray and his magnificent muscles. What is wrong with Sharon? He can wrap me in them anytime. Yes, Ray is back in Genoa City, and he went for a run in Chancellor Park with his muscle tee. He did look very good this week, and I did notice the muscles, and I was feeling it. He knows he has those biceps is what it is, because you could tell he was kind of featuring them. He seems like he's kind of proud of them, and he looked really good. There's also that moment where Ray was kind of defending Chelsea to Adam, it was a definite overstep and definitely surprising considering that Chelsea almost killed him. But yeah, it's at least good to see Adam and Ray trying to get along. I just don't know how long that's going to last. Gary says, there is a saint on the show and his name is Ray Rosales, reuniting Chelsea and Connor in Chancellor Park. But Alan says, sure, Ray, totally unstable people who put poison in shampoo and fake paralysis and frame people for felonies should definitely be around children. And cops who were fooled every step of the way are definitely qualified to give parenting advice regarding the same mentally unbalanced person. We mustn't be cruel to Chelsea. Come on, Ray. How about we start holding Chelsea accountable for her actions? The point is, too, that, how did we get here? We were supposed to get some scenes between Ray and Chelsea where they developed this bond, which would explain why Ray is going to bat for her, and we didn't get that. But I agree, Chelsea pretty much got off scot-free on all of this, save a couple of weeks in a mental institution, which she really could have benefited from. And Chloe, too, kind of got off scot-free in all of this. She blindly followed Chelsea off of one cliff, and now she's marching toward another cliff, and she's not heeding any of the warnings. When the district attorney kind of tells you, I'm going to look the other way on what you did, but don't do it again, and then Chloe's still kind of marching toward doing more favors for Chelsea again. I mean, come on, Chloe. Superplex notes, Kevin and Chloe are capable of doing anything. Do you remember Kevin laundered $5 million for Chelsea? Oh, that's a good point. Because did Kevin even tell Chloe that he did that? That he helped Chelsea too with that? I don't know. That kind of went away quickly, didn't it? Both Kevin and Chloe are perfectly well happy to help Chelsea out. They do a lot of helping Chelsea. When does Chelsea ever help them? When does Chelsea really help anybody other than herself? Gee. Well, let's talk about some summer heat, because I do feel like the main amazing feature of this week's show was all of the skin and all of the sexiness and all of the intimacy. And Diana says, I'm glad we finally got a kissing scene with Victoria and Ashland. Woo-hoo! It's about time. Victoria finally has a man other than Billy in her life with whom she has a romantic interest in whether it's legit or not. The last man we saw Victoria with that wasn't Billy was the rock star in Vegas. Yes, Diana, and I remember you were kind of wishing that guy would get brought on, and he was sexy. I was with you on that, but I agree. It's nice to see Victoria involved with somebody other than Billy. Sandra says, sorry, Allie, but I'd take shirtless Ashland over shirtless Billy any day. Well then, Sandra, for your sake, I hope that Ashland has another breathing fit. He can't breathe, and then the doctors have to rush in and rip his shirt off in order to help him breathe, just like what happened with Nate. If someone can't breathe, then you're obligated by law to take their shirt off, right? So I hope that happens for you and Ashland. Victoria says, thank you, Y&R, for giving us our male visual feast this week. I'm not picky. I'll take shirtless Ashland, Nick, or Billy. Also, Ray jogging was a real treat, too. I can't wait to see who else will pop up on my screen. Yes, indeed. I'm glad you guys were honed in on all that deliciousness, too. I mean, who needs Love Island on CBS when we've got Love City? Okay, everybody. I hope you're having a lovely summer. Go to yrchat.com to leave your comments about this week's show or anything else you got to say. Have you seen some Y&R alums lately? I'd love to hear from you guys on what other places that you've managed to see Y&R stars. Let me know if the show was good or not, if you saw it. Vote in the poll. Do the Who Said It quote. I'll do my very best to read everyone's name correctly. It's not a real high-tech operation here, let me tell you. There's a lot of room for error. But I'm trying. Okay, everybody, I love you so much. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you next Sunday. Bye.